I am here with Erik Bergman in the house. Actually, I'm in his house in Malta, enjoying the sun and recording this podcast about how to find a mentor. And Erik is a good guy to ask a couple of questions about this, because not only is he the founder of Great, but he also made 50 million euros before turning 30. And I know, according to him, finding mentors and role models has been a big part of that. So, hey, Erik, do you need a mentor at this stage, or do you already know everything in the world?
Well, I would say that if you take Yoda and Gandalf and you put those two together, you get me. So what do you think? Would a guy like that need a mentor?
I'm just stuck between, is it a tiny guy with a white beard, or is it a tall green guy? Either way, yes. I think so.
I definitely need a mentor because I don't know the answer to that question.
So let's say if that guy needed a mentor, he should probably listen to this episode and find out why.
Yes, if green tall Yoda or short white bearded green Gandalf needed a mentor, this is the episode to listen to.
Oh yeah.
And thank you for that introduction, Emil. I'm here with Emil, who is my good friend since many, many years. He is the host of this podcast. He's probably the smartest guy I know, but don't tell him that. And he was the first guy joining me into this project of Great. So I'm very happy to be doing this podcast with you, buddy. Thank you for having me.
Shabam, right back at you. And together, this is the Becoming Great podcast. A podcast for people who want to make the world better through entrepreneurships. And I think some things you can learn only from experience. And some things you can learn from other people. So what things do you think is the most beneficial to learn from a mentor and not do mistakes on your own?
Well, I think one of the main benefits of having a mentor is that you can learn from someone else's mistakes. Because I think that mistakes is one of the most powerful ways of learning anything. And someone who has been on the journey you want to go on will have made a lot of the mistakes that you will do. They will have learned a lot of things. I'm not sure if there is one specific thing to learn from a mentor. It's more like they've already done a lot of the things you want to do, so it helps to know which route they took. It's kind of like, imagine you want to walk through a forest and you never walked through that forest before, so you don't know if you want to take a left by that mountain or if you want to take a right by the river or whatever you want to do. And if you're going alone, you're going to take the wrong track a lot of the time. And if you're going with a mentor, it will help you a lot to make these decisions. And you will probably get lost quite a few times anyway. You might drown a little bit in the lake. You might fall out from that mountain a few times. But at least you will have someone there holding your hand to pull you out of the water and catch you when you're falling. And I think that's what a mentor can be for.
So is that a mentor to you then? Is it someone that is holding your hand, catching you where you're falling? Or can a mentor be someone on an online video, for example? Does it have to be someone you know personally?
No, definitely not. I would say that someone in a video online can help you through this forest and can help you to get back on your feet. So, for example, imagine that you've made some mistakes in your business, whatever that is, and you're feeling really down. If you have a role model online that you're following on YouTube, you might not even need to talk to them for them to be able to lift you up and boost you with energy again. So sure, it will help if you have someone right next to you that can talk to you specifically about this situation, but you can definitely have mentors that you've never met or never spoken to.
So how would you define what a mentor is before we get into this 10 steps, I think? I shouldn't say that now, it might be more, but the steps towards finding a mentor.
I think that's a tricky question, actually. How would you define a mentor? Do you have a definition for it?
Not a super clear one. I'm seeing, of course, the Yoda Gandalf character in my head now. and I'm seeing someone that is more knowledgeable than me in a certain area and is sharing their life wisdom.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there is a clear well, there probably is a clear definition if you look in some fancy old book, but my definition of a mentor is...
Do you mean Google?
Yeah, that fancy old book, Google. You know, the one that you can blow on it and it's just a big cloud of dust. That Google thing. I'm funny. I think I'm funny. Regardless. So when I say mentor, and if we stick to my definition of mentor, then it is someone I can ask questions to and get guidance. And preferably someone who enjoys me asking questions. So not just someone who's answering out of obligation, but someone who wants me to come to them with their questions and who wants to help out. So I think someone who has done the things that I want to do, or at least in the same range of things that I want to do, and who can help me on that path, I would say is a mentor.
All right. I'm too excited now. Let's get into the 10 steps of how to find a mentor. Do you feel the rocket taking off, Erik? Do you feel it?
No, I'm more like the drum roll.
The drum roll? All right. Okay, I can't wait any longer. Step number 1, according to Erik Bergman, is find someone you want as a mentor. Would you elaborate?
Yes, so the first thing is to ask myself, who do I actually want as a mentor? And then the best thing is probably to take 3 steps back from that. So if you want a mentor in, let's say, investing, your perfect scenario is Warren Buffett. Your likelihood of getting Warren Buffett is less likely than Gandalf and Yoda actually getting married and having this tall green love child together. So I think the key is to aim high enough. And to me, that means look for a mentor that is a couple of years ahead of you on the curve. Not 10 years, not 50 years, not super far ahead, but a bit ahead. Because the key with a person like this is that they've done what you want to do. They've done it fairly recently, and they're probably quite approachable. They haven't gotten 100 questions before. I mean, imagine how many people who have tried to get Warren Buffett as a mentor. Probably millions of people in various occasions. So if you're reaching out for someone close enough, that's going to make the probability of them being a mentor much likely. And a key for me here as well is to try to find several different ones, because a big part about this is not who you are or how you approach them, is where are they in their lives? Do they even have time for someone else? Or have they just gotten a kid? Is their company running bad? What else is going on in their life? And it might be that you're reaching out and it feels like they're ignoring you, and they probably are. And it's easy to take it personally, even though it might just be that they're in a tricky place in life. So find different options of who you would like to be as your mentor and do that as a step 1 and not too far ahead of you.
Do you think it makes sense to go for many mentors, or should you put all your effort into finding one?
No, I would go for many. So I have a ton of mentors in various areas where most of them are close friends of mine who I just look up to. I see you as one of my biggest mentors. And I think that's a key thing. And I have people who know a lot more than me in various areas and that are my mentors in some areas. Or mentor is a strong word, but a general guidance. So if I have a question about something, for example, now on social media, and then I'm reaching out to my friend Michel because he has done similar things. Like, do you think this is a good idea? So he's kind of mentoring me in that very specific niche of knowledge.
Gotcha. So let's move on to step number 2 in finding this mentor. And that is, don't ask them to be your mentor. Why?
Yeah, I love this advice. I think it's super brilliant, and mainly because I came up with it myself. And the reason, so the thing is, I get a lot of messages, people asking me to be their mentor. And this goes with, what does being a mentor even include? So if someone asks me for something that sounds like it's a very big task, and I don't have the time to make that commitment, I'm just going to say no. And I don't even know what a mentor really means. We don't have a clear definition for it. So if you reach out and you ask, can you be my mentor? The probability of them saying no is very, very high. So if you just skip that question, you instead you try and kind of make them your mentor without them even knowing it, and we'll get to that in the further steps, that's a much better way, because then you haven't really you don't give them the opportunity of saying no, and you don't take the risk of asking for too much early on. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So you don't want to go too quickly. It's like if you're on a date, you don't want to try to kiss someone when you barely know them.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid analogy, actually. So basically, I get emails and people asking me in the second sentence if I can be their mentor. And I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they're eager to learn, if they're smart, if they want to help me with anything. I just know they want me to teach them a lot of things, which is more or less like you going up to someone in a supermarket, saying hi, and then trying to kiss them. And the only thing they know about you is that you want to kiss them. They don't know anything else.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the same situation here. I just know that they want something from me. So it's a shitty place to start from, because I will just say no if I get that message. And I mean, you're really good looking, so I can imagine women say yes if you go up kissing them in supermarkets.
No.
But the probability,
try all the time.
The probability is not 100%. Yeah, so that's step number 2.
So let's move on to number 3 then, which is the antidote to this, which is find ways to add value to this person.
Yes. So let's say you have found this mentor that you want to teach you things, and you have not reached out to them yet. You have not said, can you please be my mentor? Instead, you're asking yourself, how can I start by adding value to this person's life? What can I do that will make their lives better? Because if you're starting from that place, you're going to have a much better chance of reaching out. So if you're starting...
Do you have an example on how you could do this?
So let's start with a woman in the restaurant, in the supermarket analogy then. If you start and you actually talk to her about her with things that she cares about, and you show genuine interest, you're kind of adding value to her day in comparison to just going up and trying to kiss her. Might not be the best example. So let's say you want some influencer to be your mentor. You want to succeed on social media, which is something that I do right now. You could either send them a straight message on Instagram and say, hey, can you teach me? Or you can become one of their most active followers. So you start commenting on everything that they do. You start sharing their posts. You start liking everything that they do. And this influencer will then see, wow, this guy Emil, he's really active in my comments. He's been writing comments, he's been sharing, and they will feel appreciated, they will feel valued, and they will already start liking you for just doing that. So you find
and they know that you like them, which usually means that the person will like you back.
Exactly, they know that you like them. So if you do this for a while, then that's a great way of adding value. And it doesn't have to be an influencer. Maybe someone else is active on social media. And if they're not active on social media, maybe you can understand what might this person need and just find a way of helping them with it. Offer to be their assistant. So for example, I have a new assistant. His name is Karim. Awesome guy, super brilliant. He sent a message to me just a couple of weeks ago. And he said, Erik, I like this and this and this of what you're doing. Can I please help you with anything? I just want to learn. And I asked him what kind of tasks he wanted to do. And he said, I can do pretty much anything from an assistant basis. And he wanted to do it for free. So I gave him some simple tasks and he did it super well. He did it brilliantly. So I started to give him more tasks and he did them really well. And after 5 days of hard work, I said, hey man, you're too good for this. You cannot no longer work for free. Here's a salary. And that would never have happened if he didn't start this conversation saying, can I please help you? And just trying to add value. He didn't try to take anything from me. He didn't ask for anything else than the opportunity of helping. So it could be pretty much anything.
Right. So start by offering value. instead of asking for something before you have given first.
Yes.
Right. So let's move on to number 4, which is to show appreciation and be specific.
Yes. So now it's time to start reaching out to this person. So either you reached out from the beginning, or kind of you said, can I help you? Or you became very active in their social media, or whatever happened. And a key element here is to say why you are reaching out to this person. So if you're following them on social media, maybe I'm so happy that you shared this story that one time. That meant this for me. It changed my life in this way. And I just want to say thank you. Because what's happening here is that you're giving this person a reason for why you're contacting them. And you're saying thank you. You're showing that they actually mean something for you and have done something great in your life. And what that effectively does is that this person feel valued, they feel important, and you're actually meeting a need in this person, because everyone has the need of feeling important and valued. So you're already here coming in, you're kind of doing them a favor just by doing this. They will be more inspired to do things on social media or wherever it is. They will get more energy and they will feel I'm meaningful.
Would you elaborate on why it's important to be specific when you give the appreciation?
Yes. So let's say everything sounds more trustworthy if it is specific. Let's say you come to work and you have a new t-shirt on you. And I say, nice t-shirt. That could mean anything. It could mean that I like your t-shirt, or it could mean that, well, at least I've noticed, kind of. And it's probably a nice thing, but it's not very specific. But if I instead say, wow, I really like your t-shirt and how you match the color of the t-shirt with your sneakers, that's really cool. It becomes a lot more believable, and it becomes a lot more easier to take in than just nice t-shirt, because you can see that I've actually given it thought and I'm specific with what I'm referring to.
Right. And it makes it seem less like it's just something this person is saying to everyone. They have actually given some thought into this, and it's something that they mean.
Yeah, exactly. I think specificity, it's a tricky word to say. Being specific helps out in every situation where you want to feel trustworthy.
Right. So you're given appreciation and you have been specific in it. So point number 5 to find your mentor is to start asking questions and ask for advice.
Yes. So now you have built up a relationship with this person in one way or another, where you have actually given more value than you have taken, which is a great place to come from, because now they will want to help you, because as human beings, we kind of want to even out the score. If someone has given us something, we want to give something back. Does that make sense?
Reciprocity?
Yeah, it's a tricky word.
Really tricky
Reciprocity. We need to study more English.
Let's not go there.
Regardless.
Let's not go there.
So, for example, I've read this study about tips in restaurants, that if the waiter leaves the receipt together with 2 small pieces of candy, that increases the tips by 15%. Basically, what it's doing is, I give you something, and the person who got it feels a bigger want or need to give something back. And that's the situation where we're in now. You've already given appreciation, you're giving your time, you're given something. So this person will feel a lot more likely to want to help you. And this happens to me quite frequently. So when someone has been very active on my social media and reaches out to me with a question, I feel so much more engaged in that reply. I feel I really want to give back to this person. Yeah. I send them a much longer reply or a much more detailed story or what it is, because I feel that this person has already given me something. I want to give them something back. So if you're coming from this place when you ask a question for the first time, you're so much more likely to get a long, detailed, valuable answer.
All right. So you have given value to the mentor. You're reaching out, asking questions and for advice. Now, point number 6, which is to try all the things that the mentor suggests. And what then?
Yeah, so basically, if you have someone you can ask questions to and they are happy to reply, you kind of already have a mentor. So you could say that this is the 5 steps to get a mentor, and you're kind of there. These 5 steps are how do you get this mentor to be really engaged in you and really want to help you over the long term. So what happens here in step 6 is that if you've been getting advice from someone and you do them straight away, and you come back with to the mentor and say, I learned this or that, or this didn't work, or whatever happened. What you actually subcommunicate here is that I really listened to the advice you gave me. I tried it straight away, so I'm eager to learn and I really want to learn. And I'm coming back to you to show that. And already doing these 3 things makes you stand out so far from other people reaching out. So I get a lot of people asking me questions and I give a lot of answers. And very rarely someone comes back to me with actual results. But when someone does, I feel like, wow, I really want to help this guy more. I want to help him or her. I want to give them more of my time because they value it. But if you don't come back with anything, if you don't try it, I have other people that I told, okay, the best thing that you can do is to listen to this podcast. And then it takes 3 months and they come back with new questions. And I ask them, did you listen to the podcast? And they say no. And I'm like, man.
That is surprisingly common.
Yeah, it's like I asked me for advice. I gave you advice. You didn't even listen to a podcast.
Yeah. That happens from time to time with people around me too. We have a conversation about something. I feel like I'm giving value. And then they don't even try what we talked about. And I know for me how much less I want to put energy into their development for the next time.
Definitely.
If that happens.
I mean, why would I come with another suggestion if they didn't listen to the first one?
Yeah.
So, and I would say 90% of the people don't get back with any feedback on these things, at least not in my case. So by just being someone who very quickly does this, you'll have so much. You will stand out very easily. If you get that, if someone asks you to read a book, not write a book, that's a big quest, but read a book. And if you read it within the next week and you come back, you're so far ahead of the game of anyone else this person have spoken to in the last months. And it's a game changer.
All right. So you have changed the game by reading the book or whatever task you get. Now, step number 7 is to ask to buy them lunch or coffee. So now it's real, right? You're going to meet them in person.
Yeah, now it's real.
Why do you want to do this?
Dum. Yeah, now it's basically just... So we already have the mentor in a way. We just want to build on this relationship and make it more real. And a lot of people come, and similar to asking me to be the mentor, it's very common that they ask for a lunch or something like that in the first message as well. It's way too early. It's like trying to kiss the girl before you said hi. Now is a good time to get to that point and start building a real relationship. This is a great point to show more of that appreciation, show what you learned, prepare and read the book they had suggested on beforehand, or even ask them, is there anything that you think that I should do before we meet? And do that, because if you've done that and you come there, you're going to be their favorite student. You're going to be the person they really want to help because you're listening. So ask for advice during a lunch like this. Ask for feedback. Ask if there's something you can do for them, and you're going to be golden.
And I think something that is worth pointing out here as well is that many people really like to help other people out. I know you do, for example, especially if someone is an engaged and active and passionate student.
Yeah, I believe that that's something that is within pretty much all humans, that we love to help and we love to teach. But that spirit just dies if they don't listen. I mean, imagine being a math teacher to 14-year-old boys who don't want to listen. And then you compare that to being a teacher to 7-year-old kids who really want to learn how to read.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate to teach 14-year-old boys that don't want to listen. I would love to teach people who really wants to learn.
I was substituting as a teacher. I did it once. And one teacher called in sick, and I just wanted to try this. And I got assigned to teach a class in French. I don't know a single word of French.
And people complain about the schooling system.
Yeah, I quit after that. It wasn't fun.
I haven't heard this story.
No, I haven't thought about this in years. No, that wasn't fun. Anywho, so what should your goal be in this lunch or this meeting?
The goal is just to build a stronger connection with this person, to make them feel that they want to help you. So once again, if we think of the word mentor, it feels, at least to me, a bit obligated, like you're supposed to help, and you want them to feel that they really want to help. They genuinely want to be there for you. There is no necessity. There is no specific title. I mean, Luke Skywalker wouldn't refer to Yoda as his mentor per se. He would just see him as this old fancy green guy who really wants to help. And that's the relationship you want.
Right. So what is the difference then between a mentor and a friendship?
There isn't necessarily a difference more than... So basically, there is a transaction here. Someone is giving knowledge and someone is giving appreciation or value somehow. You could pay someone to be your mentor and then you get knowledge in returns for money. But you would much rather have a relationship with a mentor where they want to teach you because you value them, because you show that you listen, and because you do these kinds of things. So it's still a transactional relationship. And they earn something from this. They earn the feeling of being important, the feeling of being listened to, the feeling of adding value and contributing. So it's actually a transactional thing. And a friendship isn't. Well, it could be, but it's not the same part of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I was going to ask you if you think it is a good idea to pay for a mentor.
I think there are situations where that makes sense, but I would rather call them like a coach or something then, or if there is something very specific you want to learn. Let's say you want to become a great public speaker and you don't have someone around you, you don't know anyone, whatever, but you've heard about this guy who can teach you for $1,000. So you start by paying this person to be part of that mentoring program or whatever, and you learn this specific skill. But I think even in a relationship like that, if you keep these things in mind, like how do I add value to this one? How do I show that I really did what they did? How do I do these kinds of things? You will be able to change that from a money transactional perspective to someone who genuinely wants to help you. Someone who would love to pick up the phone when you're calling and having a problem and would not charge you by the hour. But if you're coming there, you're just paying them, they just get money, and you give them none of this value and the things that we've been talking about here. You're not showing them appreciation. You're not showing them what you learned. You don't do anything of this. They will only want to teach you if they're on the clock to pay you. So you can actually turn a transactional relationship money-wise into something else if you do it like this. So I would prefer to find someone who is not in it for the money to start with. But I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing to start with someone who's in it for the money. It's just that it's trickier to trust someone's intentions if they're asking for money, especially if they want it up front. It's like you don't know if this guy is really in it to teach you anything. You don't know if this guy is really good or if he or she is just trying to screw you over. Someone who is not asking for money but appreciation can basically never screw you over.
So how would you summarize, because we kind of blended into point 9 and 10 now. If you would summarize the last points and then we start wrapping this mentor episode up.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so
I want to summarize it too.
Yeah, so you summarize. I'd like to hear your perspective on this.
Okay, I just wanted to keep point 9 and 10 So start with them and then I summarize.
Okay. So
I'll keep doing this forever.
Step number 8 was, by the end of this lunch, make sure to summarize what you take with you and preferably have taken notes. Once again, you want to show that you're eager to learn. You want to show what you value. So summarize the meeting and say, wow, this and this and that is things that I'm going to take with me. And until next time we meet, I'm going to read that book or listen to that podcast. So you actually show that you have taken notes, you know what you're doing. Once again, showing that you value their time. Step 9 is simply just keep doing this over and over and over. Ask for meetings, show that you did what they wanted you to do, ask for more advice, give value, give appreciation, and basically you've built a Yoda relationship with whoever it is, because they're going to want to be around you. They're going to want to teach you, because almost no one behaves this way. I've been mentoring, I don't know how many people, but lots of them, and people have done this to some extent. No one has done it fully. No one that I consider my kind of mentee is a favorite that stands out from the crowd. They're all doing parts of this. They're all doing this in some extent, but none of them have gotten to a point where I feel super eager to help them, or where I would go out of my day to help them, because they simply haven't been good enough at these things. But I feel certain that if someone really did these things well, I would call off meetings just to be able to help them if things happened. I would go out on a limb. I would support them financially, because I would feel such a strong bond. And just seeing that, I don't know, there are hundreds of people who have been reached out to me be their mentor in one way or another, asking questions. And so far, 0 has managed to just do these things, and they're not that hard. So I think it's an easy list to keep in mind, or easy tasks to prove that you will be able to get help from pretty much anyone if you're just sticking to these things.
Great summary. Can I try as well?
Go ahead.
All right, so the main thing for me is to lead with offering value. Don't ask for anything back, especially not too soon. When you do ask for advice, be sure to do it. Be sure to complete the tasks with enthusiasm. Give feedback on what you learned. And then really show appreciation. Say, when you did this thing for me, that made me feel more clarity in my life, more excitement, and it really helped me. So show appreciation. And what's been really clear to me after listening to this podcast is that this is very similar to building a friendship in general. So I'd say get better at creating friendships, and it will be easier to find a mentor as well.
Yeah, I think you summarized it well. And I'd like to, before we wrap this up fully, I'd like to say that I'm having a lot of people that I consider me as their mentor. I have a lot of people that I'm happy to add value to, and that show me appreciation and that does this well. So I feel I might have been a little bit harsh now when I said no one does this fully, but a lot of people does this well to a certain extent. And a lot of the people that reach out to me do this in various ways, and it makes me realize the power of it. Because when someone shows appreciation, or if someone reads a book that I've asked them to do, or this guy Martin the other day, he reached out to me on Instagram, and he started by asking me, how can I help you? And I said, I'd like someone to be very active in my comments on Instagram. And he started commenting and asking questions to a lot of people. I'm like, wow. And then he looked at one of my videos where I said, if you want to be more inspired, you need to find inspiring people. And you can do that by just trying something new where people are taking their own initiatives. And then I got a message from him 3 days later and said, I just went to this running group. I've never been there before. And I met this CFO guy. I got this fancy finance job. And he was so inspiring. And he gave me lots of good advice. And I felt so valued just from hearing that. Like, wow, he really listened to my advice. He went straight out there. He got back to me saying that this happened. And I get goosebumps just talking about it now.
And he showed it by action too.
He showed it by action. That's a key element. So there are a lot of people around me that does this, and it just shows to me how meaningful it is to me when that happens, and how much I care when it happens. So if you want to find a mentor, at least if people work the way I do, mentally and emotionally, this is the way to do it.
All right. So we are doing this podcast, Becoming Great, because we would love to see the world become a better place, just a little bit better. And we believe that entrepreneurship is a great way to get there. And this podcast is one of our attempts to create some kind of community feeling. And we would love for more people to hear it. So, hey, do you want to practice what we talked about in this episode? Maybe you want Erik as a mentor, who knows? Try sharing this episode. That would be a great start to help us out. Share it to someone that you can think of that would be into entrepreneurship, and we would really appreciate it. This was fun, Erik.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
And I'll see you next week.
You will.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.